I opened my eyes to sunlight streaming through unfamiliar curtains, and for a moment I couldn't breathe. This wasn't the cold darkness I remembered. This wasn't the screech of tires, the shattering glass, or Christopher's calculated smile as he watched me die. This was my old apartment. The one I'd sold 3 years before my death. My hands trembled as I grabbed my phone from the nightstand. The date glowed back at me, May 15, 2022. 3 years before my murder. I sat up so fast the room spun. My heart hammered against my ribs as memories crashed over me like waves. Christopher's tender kisses that masked his lies, the way he'd whispered, "I love you," while planning my death with Marcus Chin, his first love. The company shares he wanted. The life insurance policy he'd so carefully arranged. The brake lines he'd had cut on my car. The pain of dying alone, confused, believing I'd never been enough for the man I loved. But I wasn't dead. Somehow, impossibly, I was alive again. And today was the day I was supposed to meet Christopher Hale for the first time at the charity gala my mother was hosting. A bitter laugh escaped my throat. Not anymore. I stood and walked to the mirror, studying my reflection. 25 years old, soft features that Christopher had once called innocent and sweet. My dark hair was messy from sleep, my brown eyes still carrying the shadows of a death I'd already lived through. Never again, I whispered to my reflection. This time I'll be the one in control. My phone buzzed with a text from my mother. "Don't forget the gala tonight, darling. I've invited some wonderful people for you to meet." I knew exactly who she meant. Christopher Hale, the charming heir to Hale Industries, the man who would sweep me off my feet with practiced ease. The man who would murder me for money and love that wasn't mine. My fingers flew across the keyboard. "I'll be there, Mom. Wouldn't miss it for the world." This time I would play the game better than Christopher ever could. This time I would be the architect of his destruction. The gala was everything I remembered: crystal chandeliers, champagne flowing like water, the city's elite in their finest clothes. I'd chosen my outfit carefully, a soft blue suit that made me look younger, more vulnerable. Exactly the prey Christopher would want. I spotted him across the room and my breath caught despite myself. Christopher Hale was beautiful, there was no denying that. Tall, broad-shouldered, with sharp features and eyes like winter frost. His smile could light up a room and his charm was legendary. He was also a monster. "Daniel?" My mother appeared at my elbow, her face bright with excitement. "Come, there's someone I want you to meet." I let her guide me toward him, schooling my features into shy curiosity instead of the cold hatred burning in my chest. "Christopher Hale, this is my son, Daniel White." "Daniel, Christopher is the CEO of Hale Industries. I thought you two might have a lot in common." Christopher's eyes met mine, and I saw the exact moment his predatory instinct activated. He saw what he wanted to see, a naive, gentle man from a wealthy family with significant shares in White Technologies. "It's a pleasure," Christopher said, extending his hand. His voice was warm honey designed to seduce. "Your mother has told me so much about you." I took his hand, making sure my grip was soft, uncertain. "Nice to meet you too. I've heard great things about Hale Industries." His smile widened. "Perhaps we could discuss business over dinner sometime? I'd love to hear your thoughts on the tech sector." In my first life, I'd been so flattered by his attention. This time, I knew he was already calculating how quickly he could marry me, secure my shares, and arrange my accident. "I'd like that," I said, ducking my head as if embarrassed by the attention. "I don't know much about business, but I'd love to learn from you." Perfect. Let him think I was helpless, malleable, easy to control. As Christopher continued to chat with my mother, I felt eyes on me from across the room. I turned and found myself staring at a man I'd never seen before. He was leaning against the bar, tall and lean with dark hair and intense gray eyes that seemed to see straight through my carefully constructed facade. Our gazes locked for a heartbeat too long, and something electric passed between us. His expression was unreadable, but I could sense his suspicion, his interest. Who was he? "Daniel?" Christopher's voice pulled my attention back. "I was just saying how much I'd enjoy taking you to dinner tomorrow night. Would that work for you?" I forced a smile, even as I felt those gray eyes still watching me. "That sounds wonderful." As the evening wore on, Christopher never left my side, his hand occasionally brushing my arm, his attention completely focused on me. It was all part of his plan: make me fall in love, secure his position, and then eliminate me. But every time I glanced toward the bar, the mysterious man was watching, his expression growing darker with each touch Christopher gave me. The next morning I began my real work. If I was going to destroy Christopher, I needed evidence and allies. I needed to be smart. I made an appointment with a lawyer, not the fancy corporate firm my family usually used, but a smaller practice that had a reputation for discretion and ruthlessness when necessary. The office was modest but professional, and the receptionist showed me into a sleek conference room. "Mr. Brooks will be with you shortly." Brooks. The name meant nothing to me, which meant Christopher hadn't gotten to them first. The door opened and my heart stopped. It was him. The man from the gala with those intense gray eyes that had watched me all evening. "Mr. White," he said, his voice low and controlled. "I'm Ethan Brooks. How can I help you today?" For a moment I couldn't speak. Up close he was even more striking, sharp jawline, strong features, and an intensity that made my skin prickle with awareness. He moved with controlled power like a predator who knew exactly how dangerous he was. "I need legal advice," I managed, trying to regain my composure. "Regarding asset protection and prenuptial agreements." Ethan's eyes narrowed slightly. "You're getting married?" "Potentially." I chose my words carefully. "I want to make sure my family's assets are protected." "Smart." He sat down across from me and I noticed the way his hands moved, confident, capable. Especially when dealing with someone like Christopher Hale. My blood turned to ice. "How did you?" "I was at the gala last night," Ethan interrupted, his gray eyes boring into mine. "I saw how he looked at you. Like you were prey." He leaned forward, his gaze intense. "Tell me, Daniel, why is someone as intelligent as you pretending to be naive around a man like that?" My breath caught. No one had ever seen through me so quickly. "I don't know what you mean." "Yes, you do." Ethan's voice was soft but firm. "I've been a lawyer for 8 years. I know when someone's playing a part. The question is why." For a long moment we stared at each other. This was a risk, trusting someone I'd never met in my first life. But something in Ethan's eyes made me want to tell the truth, made me feel like I wasn't alone in this nightmare. "Because Christopher Hale is planning to kill me," I said quietly. "And I need to stop him first." Ethan didn't laugh. Didn't dismiss me. His expression darkened, his jaw tightening. "Tell me everything." And I did. Not about being reborn, that would make me sound insane, but about my suspicions about Christopher's first love, Marcus Chin, about the feeling that I was being set up. I wove truth and lies together until they sounded plausible. When I finished, Ethan was silent for a long moment. Then he stood and walked to the window, his shoulders tense. "I'll help you," he said finally, turning back to face me. His eyes were blazing with something fierce and protective. "But you need to promise me something." "What?" "Don't go near him alone. Don't take any risks without telling me first." His voice was rough, almost desperate. "I won't let anyone hurt you, Daniel." The intensity of his words shocked me. We just met, yet he spoke like he'd protect me with his life. "Why?" I whispered. "Why would you care so much?" Ethan moved closer, and suddenly the air between us felt charged, dangerous. "Because from the moment I saw you last night, I couldn't look away. Because when Christopher touched you, I wanted to break his hand." He stopped inches from me, his gray eyes searching mine. "Because you're not playing this game for money or revenge. You're surviving. And I'll be damned if I let you do it alone." My heart was racing, my skin flushed. This wasn't part of the plan. Ethan wasn't supposed to exist in this timeline. But here he was, offering me protection, offering me something I'd never expected to feel again. "Okay," I breathed. "I promise." His hand lifted, almost touching my face before he caught himself and pulled back. "Good. Now let's destroy Christopher Hale." Over the next 2 weeks, Ethan and I built our strategy. He was brilliant, sharp, ruthless, and thorough. We met in his office every day, sometimes late into the night, gathering evidence, building connections, preparing for war. And every moment we spent together, the tension between us grew stronger. I'd catch him staring at me when he thought I wasn't looking, his gray eyes dark with hunger. I'd feel his hand linger on mine when passing documents, his touch sending electricity up my arm. The way he positioned himself between me and the door, always protecting, always watching. It was possessive, protective, overwhelming, and I was drawn to it like a moth to flame. Meanwhile, I played my part with Christopher perfectly. I went to dinners, smiled sweetly, let him think he was winning me over. Each touch of his hand made my skin crawl, but I endured it. I let him talk about his dreams, his business plans, all while recording every word. "You're so different from the people I usually meet," Christopher said one evening as we walked through the park. His arm was around my waist, proprietary. So genuine. So innocent. I leaned into him, hiding my revulsion. "You make me feel safe." He kissed my temple and I imagined Ethan's hands breaking his neck. What I didn't expect was Marcus Chin to appear so soon. We were at a restaurant, one of Christopher's choices, when a handsome man with cold eyes approached our table. "Christopher," the man said, his voice icy. "Aren't you going to introduce me to your friend?" Christopher's face went pale, then smoothed into a charming smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Marcus, what a surprise. This is Daniel White. Daniel, this is Marcus Chin, an old friend." Friend. The word dripped with poison. Marcus's eyes raked over me with open disdain. "So this is the one. How sweet." I played confused, naive. "Nice to meet you. I'm sure." Marcus turned back to Christopher, his smile sharp. "We should talk. Soon." After Marcus left, Christopher was tense, distracted. I pretended not to notice, but my mind was racing. Marcus was already suspicious, already seeing me as a threat to whatever twisted relationship he had with Christopher. Good. Let them fight among themselves. When Christopher drove me home that night, his kiss was harder than usual, almost desperate. "I care about you so much, Daniel. You know that, right?" Of course, I lied, counting the seconds until I could escape. The moment I got inside my apartment, I called Ethan. "He's getting nervous," I said without preamble. "Marcus confronted us tonight." "Damn." I heard rustling like Ethan was getting up. "Are you okay? Did either of them hurt you?" "I'm fine. But I think they're going to accelerate their plans." There was a pause, then, "I'm coming over." "Ethan, you don't have to. I'm already on my way." "Don't argue with me, Daniel." The possessiveness in his voice should have annoyed me. Instead, it made something warm unfurl in my chest. 20 minutes later, Ethan was at my door. He swept in like a storm, his gray eyes immediately scanning me for injuries. "Show me where he touched you," Ethan demanded, his voice tight. "What?" "Ethan, I told you I'm fine." "Show me." His hands framed my face, tilting it toward the light. His thumb traced my jaw where Christopher had held me too tight during that kiss, and his expression turned murderous. "He left marks. They're nothing. They're everything." Ethan's voice was rough, shaking. "Every time he touches you, every time he thinks he has the right to put his hands on you." He stopped, his forehead dropping to mine, his breath warm against my lips. "It's killing me, Daniel. Watching you with him. Knowing what he wants to do to you." My heart was hammering. "Ethan, I know we agreed to stay professional. I know you need to focus on taking him down." His hands slid into my hair, gentle but possessive. "But I can't pretend anymore. I can't watch him touch what's mine." "Yours?" My breath hitched. "Mine." His lips were a whisper away from mine. "From the moment I saw you. From the moment you walked into my office with those scared eyes, pretending to be brave. You're mine, Daniel. And I'm going to protect you even if it kills me." "Kiss me," I breathed, surprising myself. Ethan's control shattered. His mouth crashed against mine, hot and demanding. His kiss was nothing like Christopher's calculated seductions. This was raw, desperate, real. His tongue swept into my mouth. As his hands tightened in my hair and I moaned against him, my body pressing closer. He walked me backward until my back hit the wall, never breaking the kiss. One hand pinned my hip while the other tilted my head for better access, deepening the kiss until I couldn't think, couldn't breathe, could only feel. When he finally pulled back, we were both panting. "We shouldn't," I whispered, even as my hands fisted in his shirt. "I know." His thumb traced my swollen lips. "But I'm not strong enough to stay away from you anymore." "Then don't." I pulled him back down, kissing him again with all the desperation and longing I'd been hiding. This time Ethan groaned, his hips pressing against mine. I could feel his arousal, hard and insistent, and it made heat pool low in my belly. "Daniel," he gasped against my mouth. "If we do this, if we cross this line, I won't be able to let you go. I won't be able to share you with anyone, not even for the mission." "Then I won't go back to him," I said, my hands sliding under his shirt to feel warm skin. "I'll find another way." "No." Ethan's voice was firm despite his obvious desire. "You need to finish this. You need to take Christopher down completely, or you'll never be safe." His gray eyes burned into mine. "But afterward, you're mine. Understand?" "Yes," I breathed. "Say it." "I'm yours, Ethan. After this is over, I'm yours." His kiss this time was slower, deeper, acclaiming. His hands mapped my body like he was memorizing every line, every curve. When his mouth moved to my neck, finding sensitive spots that made me gasp, I felt tears prick my eyes. This was what love was supposed to feel like. Not Christopher's calculated seduction, but this, honest, desperate, consuming. "I wish I could keep you here," Ethan murmured against my skin. Lock the doors and never let you face him again. Soon, I promised, my fingers tangling in his hair. Soon this will be over and we can. My phone rang, shattering the moment. Christopher's name flashed on the screen. Ethan's jaw tightened as he saw it, but he stepped back, letting me answer. Hello. Daniel, sweetheart. Christopher's voice was smooth, but I could hear the edge underneath. I was thinking, why don't you come to my place this weekend? I want to show you something special. My blood ran cold. In my first life, this was when things had started to accelerate. When Christopher had begun isolating me, controlling my movements. I'd love that, I said sweetly, even as Ethan's hands clenched into fists. When I hung up, Ethan pulled me back into his arms, holding me tight. I'm going to kill him, he said softly. If he hurts you, if he even thinks about it, I'm going to kill him with my bare hands. No. I looked up at him. We do this the right way. We destroy him legally, completely. Take everything he values. Fine. Ethan's smile was cold, predatory. But if he crosses the line, all bets are off. I kissed him again, softer this time. A promise. We spent the rest of the night planning, but every few minutes Ethan would pull me close, kiss me, touch me, like he needed constant reassurance that I was real, that I was safe. And I let him because for the first time since my rebirth, I felt like I had something worth living for beyond revenge. The weekend at Christopher's estate was a nightmare dressed in luxury. His mansion was sprawling and cold, all marble floors and expensive art that felt more like a museum than a home. But I knew Ethan was nearby, parked down the street with recording equipment, listening to every word through the wire I wore hidden under my clothes. Your home is beautiful, I said as Christopher showed me around, his hand possessive on my lower back. It could be ours, Christopher murmured, pulling me close. I've been thinking, Daniel. Why wait? Let's get married. Soon. My heart raced with alarm, but I smiled. That's sudden. I know what I want. His lips brushed my ear. And I want you. Completely. Permanently. Translation: he wanted my shares and he wanted me dead soon after. I want that too, I lied even as my skin crawled. But my mother would never forgive me if we didn't have a proper wedding. You know how traditional families are. Christopher's jaw tightened with frustration, but he forced a smile. Of course. Anything for you. That's when Marcus appeared in the doorway, his expression venomous. Christopher, we need to talk. Now. Marcus, this isn't a good. Now. Marcus's eyes flicked to me with pure hatred. Unless you want me to discuss business in front of your fiancé. The tension was explosive. Christopher excused himself, and I was left alone in the massive living room, my heart hammering. Through the wire, I heard Ethan's voice, low and urgent. Daniel, be careful. I don't like this. I touched the wire briefly in acknowledgement, then moved quietly toward the study where Christopher and Marcus had disappeared. Accelerate the timeline, Marcus was saying, his voice sharp. I'm not waiting another 6 months while you play house with that naive little. Watch your mouth, Christopher snapped. Daniel is necessary for this to work. His family trusts him with the shares. If we move too fast, they'll get suspicious. Then make an accident happen sooner. The break lines like we planned. Just do it next week instead of waiting. My blood turned to ice. Next week. They were planning to kill me next week. In my first life, I died 6 months after the wedding. But now, because I was being careful, being smart, they were escalating. Fine, Christopher said coldly. But this needs to look perfect. No mistakes. There won't be any. And then finally we can be together. Like we were always meant to be. The sound of kissing made my stomach turn. I slipped away before they could catch me eavesdropping, my mind racing. When Christopher returned, I was sitting on the couch, looking at my phone innocently. Sorry about that, he said, his charming mask back in place. Business can't wait sometimes. I understand. I stood, moving toward him. Actually, I should get going. Early morning tomorrow. Let me drive you. No. The word came out too sharp and I saw his eyes narrow. I forced a laugh. I already called a car. I didn't want to bother you. He studied me for a long moment and I saw the calculation in his eyes. Did he suspect? Did he know I'd overheard? If you insist, he said finally, pulling me in for a kiss that tasted like lies. The moment I was in the car, a rideshare, not a car Christopher could have tampered with, I slumped back against the seat, shaking. My phone rang immediately. Ethan. Daniel, thank God. I heard everything. Are you? Come to my place, I interrupted. Please. I need you. I'm already on my way. When Ethan arrived, he took one look at my face and pulled me into his arms. I broke down then, all the fear and stress and horror pouring out as he held me. "Next week," I gasped. "They're going to try to kill me next week." "No, they're not." Ethan's voice was steel. "Because we're going to stop them first. We have enough evidence now, the recordings, the financial trails I've been tracking. We can go to the police." "Not yet." I pulled back, wiping my eyes. "If we go now, Christopher will claim it was all Marcus. He'll find a way to escape. I need more. I need absolute proof that he was the mastermind." Ethan's jaw clenched. "Then we fake your death." I stared at him. "What?" "We stage an accident. Make them think they succeeded. Then we watch them celebrate, watch them make mistakes. Catch them in the act of celebrating your murder." His gray eyes were fierce. "But you'll be safe. Hidden. With me." It was risky. Dangerous. Perfect. "Okay," I whispered. "Let's do it." Ethan's hands cupped my face. "I won't let anything happen to you. I swear it." "I know." I kissed him, desperate and needy, and this time he didn't hold back. He lifted me effortlessly, carrying me to the bedroom. His mouth never left mine as he laid me on the bed, his body covering mine, solid and safe and real. "Tell me you want this," Ethan breathed against my lips. "Tell me you want me." "I want you," I gasped as his hands slid under my shirt, finding bare skin. "God, Ethan, I need you. You have me." His mouth moved to my neck, biting gently. "You have all of me. Forever." Our clothes disappeared in a frenzy of desperate hands. When Ethan's skin finally pressed against mine, hot and perfect, I nearly sobbed with relief. This was right. This was real. His mouth traveled down my body, worshipping every inch of skin. When he took me in his mouth, I arched off the bed, my hands fisting in his hair. "Ethan, oh God." He worked me expertly, his gray eyes watching my every reaction, learning what made me gasp, what made me moan. When I was close, trembling on the edge, he pulled back. "Not yet," he growled, moving back up my body. "I want to be inside you when you come." He prepared me carefully, his fingers stretching me, finding spots that made me see stars. By the time he was finally positioned above me, I was begging. "Please," I gasped. "Please, Ethan." He kissed me as he pushed inside, slow and steady, giving me time to adjust. The feeling was overwhelming. Fullness, connection, rightness. "You're perfect," Ethan breathed, his forehead pressed to mine. "So perfect. Mine." "Yours?" I agreed, my legs wrapping around his waist. "Move, please." He did, setting a rhythm that was both tender and desperate. Every thrust hit deep, sending pleasure cascading through my body. His hands were everywhere. My hair, my face, my hips, like he couldn't touch enough of me. "I love you," he gasped against my mouth. "God, Daniel, I love you." The words broke something in me. "I love you too," I sobbed, my nails raking down his back. "Ethan, I love you." He kissed me desperately as he moved faster, harder, his control fraying. When his hand wrapped around me, stroking in time with his thrusts, I shattered, crying out his name as pleasure crashed over me in waves. Ethan followed moments later, groaning into my neck as he came, his body shuddering against mine. For long minutes, we lay tangled together, hearts hammering, skin slick with sweat. "No matter what happens," Ethan said softly, his hand stroking my hair. "No matter how dangerous this gets, we're in this together. Understand?" "Together," I agreed, kissing him again. We made love twice more that night, each time more intense than the last. Ethan was insatiable, his hands and mouth mapping every inch of my body, claiming me over and over until I was boneless and sated. When I finally fell asleep in his arms, I felt safe for the first time since my rebirth. But I knew the real danger was just beginning. The plan was elegant in its simplicity. We would make Christopher think his murder plot was succeeding, and trap him in the process. Ethan had contacts in the police department, officers who'd worked with him on previous cases and trusted his judgment. They agreed to help off the record in exchange for bringing down Christopher and Marcus for attempted murder and conspiracy. "Your car accident will happen on Thursday," Ethan explained as we went over the details. "We've arranged for a controlled crash, realistic enough to be convincing, but you'll be protected. Afterward, you'll be declared dead at the scene. The officers involved will be ours. And then you disappear. Come stay with me while we wait for Christopher and Marcus to incriminate themselves." His eyes darkened. "I'll keep you safe." The possessiveness in his voice made heat pool in my belly, but I focused on the plan. "Christopher will want to see the body. We've arranged for that too. A closed casket due to extensive injuries. He won't be able to examine closely. Ethan pulled me close, his hands tightening on my waist. But Daniel, if at any point this feels too dangerous, we abort. I won't risk you, not even for revenge. It won't come to that, I promised, kissing him softly. The next few days were torture. I had to continue playing my part with Christopher, smiling and acting excited about our future while knowing he was planning my murder. On Wednesday night, Christopher took me to dinner at an expensive restaurant. His hand was possessive on mine, his smile charming. I was thinking, he said, his thumb stroking my knuckles. After we're married, maybe you could transfer your shares into a joint account. It would make things easier for estate planning. Translation: make it easier for him to steal everything after I was dead. That sounds smart, I said, letting my voice carry naive trust. You know so much more about business than I do. His smile widened. I just want to take care of you, Daniel. Forever. Forever. He meant 6 more hours. That night, after Christopher drove me home, I went straight to Ethan's apartment. He answered the door immediately, pulling me inside and into his arms. Last chance to back out, he murmured against my hair. No. I looked up at him. I want to see this through. I want him to pay for what he planned to do to me. Ethan's kiss was fierce, desperate. We made love urgently that night, both knowing tomorrow would change everything. His hands were rougher than usual, his thrusts deeper, like he was trying to brand himself into my soul. Mine? He growled as I came apart beneath him. No matter what happens tomorrow, you're mine, Daniel. Say it. Yours? I sobbed, my nails digging into his shoulders. Always yours, Ethan. When morning came, I dressed in the clothes we'd chosen. Nothing too precious since they'd be damaged in the crash. Ethan watched me with haunted eyes. I'll be monitoring everything, he said, checking the wire I wore one more time. The moment it's over, I'm coming for you. I know. I kissed him one last time. I love you. I love you too. His hands framed my face. Come back to me. Always. The accident was set to happen on a quiet road at noon. I drove carefully, my hands steady on the wheel despite my racing heart. The brake failure would appear to happen naturally. Christopher had arranged for a mechanic to sabotage my car the night before, not knowing we'd already fixed it and prepared our own controlled failure. At exactly 12:03, my brakes failed. The car careened off the road in a carefully calculated trajectory, crashing into a barrier with spectacular force. Airbags deployed. Glass shattered. Pain exploded through my body, real but controlled, nothing serious. Then everything went dark as the officers involved pulled me from the wreckage and I played dead. I woke up in a safe house with Ethan hovering over me, his face pale and terrified. Daniel, thank God. I'm okay, I whispered, though my body ached. It worked. Perfectly. Christopher received the call 20 minutes ago. He's at the hospital now, playing the devastated fiancé. Ethan's voice was bitter. Our surveillance caught him smiling in the parking lot before going inside. Rage burned through me. Show me. On Ethan's laptop, I watched the footage. Christopher, standing alone in the hospital parking lot, checking his reflection in his phone before arranging his face into grief. Then Marcus appeared and they kissed, triumphant, celebratory. Finally, Marcus said, his voice clear on the audio. Now we can be together. And you'll have control of White Technologies. We should wait a few weeks, Christopher replied. Play the grieving fiancé. Then we'll move forward with the merger plans. They were already dividing up my legacy like vultures. I want to see more, I said, my voice cold. Over the next few days, holed up in Ethan's apartment, we watched Christopher's mask slip further. At my funeral, which my mother had arranged with heartbreaking haste, he played his part perfectly, crying at the right moments, accepting condolences with grace. But the cameras we'd hidden in his home showed the truth. That night, he and Marcus celebrated with champagne and sex, laughing about how easily I'd been eliminated. He never loved you, Marcus purred, straddling Christopher on the couch. He never could have. You were always mine. I know, Christopher agreed, his hands on Marcus's hips. Daniel was just a means to an end. Naive little fool. Each word was a knife, even though I'd known the truth. Ethan held me through it, his arms tight and protective. We have enough, he said quietly. More than enough to destroy them both. Not yet. My voice was ice. I want them to get comfortable. I want them to think they've won completely. So we waited. Watched as Christopher began the process of claiming my estate, as he moved Marcus into the mansion, as they planned their own wedding. During those weeks, Ethan and I grew closer in ways I'd never imagined possible. Confined to his apartment, We spent our days planning revenge and our nights losing ourselves in each other. I can't get enough of you, Ethan breathed one night, his mouth trailing down my body. Every time I touch you, I want more. His possessiveness was absolute. He marked me with his mouth, his hands, his body, claiming me over and over until I was dizzy with pleasure and love. When this is over, he murmured against my skin, I'm marrying you. I'm putting my ring on your finger and making sure everyone knows you're mine. Yes, I gasped as he pushed inside me again. Yes, Ethan, yes. Our lovemaking became more intense, more desperate. Sometimes gentle and tender, other times rough and primal. Ethan learned every inch of my body, every spot that made me moan, every word that made me beg. I love watching you come apart, he said one night, his gray eyes dark with desire. Love knowing I'm the only one who gets to see you like this. Touch you like this. Only you, I agreed, my back arching as he hit that perfect spot inside me. God, only you, Ethan. We were insatiable, making love multiple times a day, unable to keep our hands off each other. Every kiss was a promise, every touch a claim. But finally, after 3 weeks, it was time to strike. The board meeting at White Technologies was packed. Christopher had called it, confident in his new position as my heir, ready to propose a merger with Hale Industries that would make him one of the most powerful men in the city. What he didn't know was that I was about to walk through those doors. Ethan squeezed my hand as we approached the building. Ready? More than ready. The police were already in position, waiting for our signal. We had all the evidence compiled, recordings, financial documents, testimony from the mechanic Christopher had bribed, everything we needed to bury him completely. I straightened my shoulders, checked my reflection one last time. I looked different than I had before, harder, colder. The naive Daniel White was gone forever. Let's end this, I said. The conference room fell into shocked silence when I walked through the door. My mother gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. Board members half rose from their seats. And Christopher went white as a sheet, his mouth opening and closing soundlessly. Hello everyone, I said calmly, taking my seat at the head of the table, my rightful place. Sorry I'm late. I had some business to attend to. Daniel? My mother's voice was barely a whisper. But we buried. You buried an empty casket, Mom. I'm sorry for putting you through that. I looked directly at Christopher, whose horror was rapidly shifting to calculation. But I needed certain people to think I was dead. To feel safe enough to reveal their true intentions. I don't understand, Christopher said, his voice shaking. He was good, I'd give him that. The confusion looked genuine. Daniel, what's going on? We thought you died in a car accident. An accident you arranged. I nodded to Ethan, who entered with the police officers. An accident that was supposed to eliminate me so you could steal my family's company shares and finally be with your lover, Marcus Chin. Christopher shot to his feet. That's insane. I loved you, I was devastated when you died. Funny way of showing it. Ethan pressed a button on his laptop, and the screen behind me lit up with footage. Christopher and Marcus in the parking lot, kissing and celebrating my death. Christopher's cold voice discussing the merger plans. Marcus laughing about how naive I'd been. The room erupted in shocked murmurs. My mother made a small wounded sound. You see, Christopher, I continued, my voice ice, I've spent the last 3 weeks gathering evidence of your conspiracy to commit murder. We have the mechanic you paid to sabotage my car. We have recordings of you planning my death with Marcus. We have financial records showing how you planned to steal from my family. Christopher's mask finally cracked. His charming facade fell away, revealing the monster underneath. You think you're so smart, he snarled. You think you've won? I know I have. Detective Chin, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder, attempted murder, and fraud, one of the officers announced, stepping forward with handcuffs. Christopher lunged toward me, rage contorting his features, but Ethan was faster. He intercepted Christopher, slamming him against the table with controlled violence. Don't, Ethan growled, his gray eyes murderous. Don't even think about touching him. Who the hell are you? Christopher spat. His attorney. His protector. Ethan's smile was cold. And the man who's going to make sure you rot in prison for what you tried to do to him. As the police hauled Christopher away, he screamed threats and accusations, his composure completely shattered. Marcus was arrested within the hour at Christopher's mansion, caught trying to flee with stolen artwork and jewelry. When the conference room finally cleared, my mother approached me with tears streaming down her face. Daniel, she whispered. I'm so sorry. I introduced you to that monster. I pushed you toward him. "It's not your fault, Mom." I hugged her tight. "You didn't know. None of us could have known." She pulled back, studying my face. "You're different. Harder. I had to be. To survive." Her gaze shifted to Ethan, who stood nearby, watching us with those intense gray eyes. "And who is this? Really?" "Ethan Brooks. My attorney." I reached for his hand, pulling him closer. "And the man I love." My mother's eyebrows rose, but she smiled through her tears. "Then he's welcome in our family. Anyone who helped save you, who clearly loves you the way he does, is welcome." The trial was a media sensation. Christopher's fall from grace was spectacular and complete. The prosecution had so much evidence that his lawyers advised him to take a plea deal, but Christopher's arrogance wouldn't allow it. He insisted on going to trial, certain he could charm the jury. He couldn't. The jury deliberated for less than 3 hours before returning with a guilty verdict on all counts: conspiracy to commit murder, attempted murder, fraud, and embezzlement. The judge sentenced him to 30 years in prison without possibility of parole. Marcus received 25 years for his part in the conspiracy. I attended every day of the trial, Ethan by my side. And every time Christopher looked at me with hatred burning in his eyes, I smiled. Because I had won. I had taken everything from him: his freedom, his reputation, his future. Just as he tried to take mine. 6 months after Christopher's conviction, life began to feel normal again. Or rather, it began to feel like the life I'd always deserved but never had in my first timeline. I took control of White Technologies, implementing changes and innovations I'd only dreamed about before. The company flourished under my leadership, and the board's respect for me grew with each successful quarter. But the best part of my new life was Ethan. He moved into my apartment. Well, technically I moved into his, then we bought a new place together. A home that was ours, with no ghosts from my past haunting the hallways. Every morning I woke up in his arms. Every night we made love like it was the first and last time. His possessiveness never faded. If anything, it intensified. "Daniel White," a voice called across the coffee shop one afternoon. I turned to see an old colleague from grad school, Jason Park, a handsome entrepreneur who'd once expressed interest in me. "Jason, hi." I greeted him warmly. "How have you been?" "Great. I heard about everything that happened. I'm so glad you're okay." He touched my arm, friendly. "We should catch up sometime. Maybe dinner?" Before I could respond, Ethan appeared at my side, his arms sliding possessively around my waist. "He's busy," Ethan said, his voice pleasant but his eyes deadly. "Permanently." Jason's gaze flicked between us and understanding dawned. "Oh, you're together. Sorry man, didn't realize." "Now you do," Ethan replied, pulling me closer. After Jason left, I turned to Ethan with raised eyebrows. "Really? That was a bit much." "Was it?" Ethan's gray eyes were dark with possessive heat. "He was touching you. Looking at you like he wanted?" He cut himself off, jaw clenching. "I don't share, Daniel. Not even friendly conversation with someone who wants you." "He was just being nice." Ethan backed me against the wall, his body caging mine. "I know what nice looks like when a man wants you. And I won't tolerate it." His mouth found my neck, biting gently. "You're mine. Only mine. Say it." "Yours," I breathed, my body responding instantly to his dominance. "Only yours, Ethan." "Good." He kissed me deeply, publicly, claiming me for anyone watching to see. "Let's go home. I need to remind you exactly who you belong to." That night, Ethan made love to me with an intensity that bordered on feral. He took me against the door the moment we entered our apartment, too desperate to make it to the bedroom. His hands were rough, demanding as he stripped away my clothes. "Mine," he growled, his teeth scraping my shoulder as he pushed inside me. "Every inch of you. Every breath. Mine." "Yes." I gasped, my nails raking down his back. "God, yes, Ethan." He set a punishing pace, each thrust deep and possessive. When I tried to touch myself, he pinned my hands above my head. "No," he commanded. "You come from my touch alone. Understand?" I nodded frantically, lost in the pleasure in him. "Say it, Daniel. Tell me who owns your pleasure." "You do," I sobbed. "Only you, Ethan. Please." He angled his hips, hitting that spot inside me that made stars explode behind my eyes, and I shattered, coming with a cry that echoed through the apartment. Ethan followed seconds later, groaning my name as he spilled inside me. We barely made it to the bed before he was ready again, his recovery time astounding. This time he took me slowly, thoroughly, his mouth and hands worshipping every inch of my body. I love you so much it terrifies me, he whispered against my skin. The thought of losing you, of anyone taking you from me. His voice cracked. I can't survive it, Daniel. I need you too much. You have me, I promised, pulling him up for a tender kiss. Forever, Ethan. I'm not going anywhere. We made love 3 more times that night, each time different, rough, then tender, then somewhere in between. By the time we finally collapsed in exhaustion, dawn was breaking through the windows. Of course, not everyone was happy about my relationship with Ethan. About 8 months after Christopher's conviction, a new lawyer joined Ethan's firm, Alexander Hunt, a brilliant litigator from New York with movie star looks and a reputation for winning impossible cases. He was also, apparently, immediately interested in me. So you're the famous Daniel White, Alexander said when Ethan brought me to the firm's holiday party. His smile was charming, his blue eyes warm. Ethan talks about you constantly. I was beginning to think you were fictional. Very real, I assured him, shaking his offered hand. Alexander held my hand a moment too long, his thumb brushing over my knuckles. Lucky Ethan. If I'd met you first. But you didn't. Ethan's voice was cold as ice. He physically stepped between us, breaking Alexander's hold on my hand. And Daniel's not available. To anyone. Alexander's smile widened, amused. Possessive, isn't he? With good reason, I said, sliding my arm around Ethan's waist. I'm his and he's mine. But Alexander didn't take the hint. Over the following weeks, he found excuses to call me, to invite me to lunch, to discuss legal matters. He sent flowers to my office with cards that walked the line between friendly and flirtatious. Ethan was slowly losing his mind. I'm going to kill him, he announced one evening after Alexander had sent me yet another extravagant bouquet. I'm going to actually kill him. You're not killing anyone, I said, pulling him into my arms. He's harmless. He wants you. And I want you. Only you. I kissed him softly. Ethan, you have to know by now that no one else exists for me. You saved me. You loved me when I thought I'd never be able to love again. You're it for me. Some of the tension left his shoulders. I know. But seeing him look at you, touch you, his hands tightened on my hips. It makes me want to do violent things. Then channel that into something productive, I suggested, my voice dropping to a seductive purr. Show me why I'm yours. Ethan's eyes darkened immediately. Bedroom. Now. That night, he was more intense than ever, his lovemaking almost desperate in its passion. He marked me deliberately, hickeys on my neck, bite marks on my shoulders, visible proof of his claim. I want everyone to see, he growled, his teeth scraping my collarbone. Want them to know you're taken. Mine. Yes, I moaned, arching into his touch. Mark me, Ethan. Make sure everyone knows. He did, thoroughly and repeatedly, until my body was a map of his possession. And I loved every second of it. The rivalry with Alexander came to a head at a legal conference. Ethan and I attended together, presenting a paper on corporate fraud. Our experience with Christopher had given us unique insights. During the cocktail hour afterward, Alexander cornered me while Ethan was networking across the room. Daniel, I need to be honest with you, Alexander said, standing too close. I know you're with Ethan, but I can't stop thinking about you. If you ever change your mind. I won't. I stepped back, keeping my voice firm but polite. Alexander, I appreciate that you find me attractive, but I'm completely committed to Ethan. That's not going to change. Are you sure? Because from where I'm standing, Ethan's possessiveness seems unhealthy. You deserve someone who trusts you. His possessiveness isn't about trust, I interrupted. It's about love. He knows exactly what I'm worth, and he refuses to let anyone else have me. That's not unhealthy, it's devotion. Or obsession. Then I'll happily be the object of his obsession. Because I feel the same way about him. I walked away, returning to Ethan's side. He took one look at my face and his expression darkened. What did he say to you? Nothing important, I assured him. But I think he finally got the message. Ethan pulled me close, kissing me deeply right there in the middle of the conference hall. It was possessive, claiming, and utterly shameless. When he pulled back, his gray eyes were blazing. Let's get out of here. I need you. Now. We barely made it to our hotel room before we were tearing at each other's clothes. Ethan took me against the door, then on the bed, then in the shower, 3 times in rapid succession, each more intense than the last. Say you're mine, he demanded, his voice rough as he moved inside me. Say no one else will ever touch you. I'm yours, I gasped, my nails digging into his shoulders. Only yours, Ethan. Forever. Forever, he agreed, his rhythm becoming erratic as he neared climax. Mine forever, Daniel. We came together, crying out each other's names, our bodies perfectly in sync. Afterward, lying tangled in the sheets, Ethan traced patterns on my chest. I'm sorry, he said quietly. I know my jealousy is intense. I love your jealousy, I admitted. It makes me feel wanted, cherished, like I'm the most important thing in your world. You are. He propped himself up on one elbow, looking down at me with those intense gray eyes. You're everything, Daniel. My entire world revolves around you. Same, I whispered, pulling him down for a tender kiss. You saved me, Ethan. Not just from Christopher but from myself. From the darkness I was drowning in. We saved each other, he corrected. You gave me purpose. You made me believe in love again. We made love once more, slowly and sweetly, a reaffirmation of everything we meant to each other. 1 year after Christopher's conviction, Ethan took me back to the place where everything had changed. The bar at the hotel where my mother's charity gala had been held. Why are we here? I asked, confused. Because this is where I first saw you, Ethan said, his gray eyes intense. Where I watched you pretend to be someone you weren't. Where I fell in love with you before I even knew your name. My breath caught. Ethan. He dropped to one knee, pulling out a velvet box. Inside was a stunning ring, platinum with a single perfect diamond. Daniel White, you are the bravest, smartest, most incredible person I've ever met. You survived death itself to get your justice. You trusted me when you had no reason to. You loved me when your heart had every reason to stay closed. His voice shook with emotion. I know I'm possessive. I know I'm overprotective. But I promise to spend every day of my life proving that you're the most important thing in my world. Marry me, Daniel. Let me be yours forever. Tears streamed down my face. Yes, I sobbed. Yes, Ethan. 1,000 times yes. He slipped the ring onto my finger and stood, crushing me against him in a kiss that tasted like joy and promise and forever. Around us, people applauded. I realized dimly that both our families were there, along with friends and colleagues, all smiling and crying happy tears. I love you, Ethan whispered against my lips. My husband. I love you too, I replied, my heart so full it felt like it might burst. My husband. We married 3 months later in a private ceremony, small and intimate, nothing like the elaborate wedding Christopher had planned. Just our closest friends and family in a garden at sunset, promising to love each other through everything life could throw at us. Our wedding night was passionate and tender, a perfect blend of everything we were together. Ethan made love to me with a reverence that brought tears to my eyes, his hands gentle as they explored my body like it was the first time. I never thought I could be this happy, I confessed as we lay tangled together afterward. Me neither, Ethan agreed, kissing my forehead. But we earned this happiness, Daniel. We fought for it. We survived for it. We did. I snuggled closer to him. And I'd do it all again, if it meant ending up right here with you. Sap, he teased, but his arms tightened around me. Years passed in blissful happiness. We built a life together, a home filled with love and laughter, careers that fulfilled us, friends who supported us. White Technologies thrived under my leadership, and Ethan's law firm became one of the most respected in the city. We traveled the world, made love in every country we visited, collected memories like treasures. Ethan's possessiveness never faded. If anything, it deepened as our love grew stronger. But I never minded. His jealousy, his protectiveness, his absolute devotion, it all made me feel cherished beyond measure. Christopher rotted in prison, his appeals rejected, his reputation destroyed. Marcus too remained behind bars, their grand plans of love and wealth reduced to nothing but ashes. And me? I got the happy ending I'd never dared to dream of in my first life. Sometimes late at night I'd wake up from dreams of my death, the screech of tires, the cold calculation in Christopher's eyes. But Ethan would pull me close, whispering words of love and safety until the nightmares faded. You're safe, he'd murmur against my hair. You're mine. And I'll never let anyone hurt you again. I know, I'd reply, my heart settling back into its normal rhythm. I know, my love. Because I did know. This second chance at life had given me everything. Justice, healing, and a love so profound it made every moment of suffering worthwhile. I'd been reborn not just to get revenge, but to find the person who would love me unconditionally, fiercely, completely. I'd been reborn to find Ethan. And together we lived happily ever after, possessive, protective, and perfectly in love. Our story didn't end with revenge. It ended with love, real, consuming, eternal love that made every day feel like a gift. And in the end, that was the greatest revenge of all, living well, loving deeply, and finding happiness that my enemies could never touch.